She's cute.
Massive.
Yeah. Hey, babe.
New subscriber you got from Cameroon but in AUE. Hello Maya Joy, how are you doing? I really wish to know the birth story of Rose, the process and the experience of being a new mom and dad. Well, thank you so much for your comment.
It's going to be a long video if you actually go through every single step.
Yeah, so birth is simple, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's, born, whatever. Okay, so we'll do it nice and simple. We met.
And the clicks.
Things were exchanged and let's just say I became pregnant quickly.
Yeah.
And 9 months later, literally 9 months later, 2 days before Phoenix's due date, my waters start leaking.
Yeah.
So this is the Monday.
You remember the date?
Yeah, of course I remember everything.
Jeez. I just know it was a day at your water break. I didn't know like the Monday, Tuesday. I didn't know the actual day. Like.
I know because it was my mom's partner's birthday.
Oh, okay, and it was on the Monday.
Yeah. And then that night, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like incontinence or something. But through the whole day, we were out for lunch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The next day, I still wasn't feeling right. Something was off, you know? You just know when your body is doing something that isn't, right. So I went to the emergency room to go get checked out because it was constantly leaking. And I don't know why I didn't know that my waters were leaking because everything was like, it was like, oh, because it'll smell sweet. It'll smell sweet.
I suppose because it was your first baby. You know, when it's the first kid, you probably don't know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So your water break for like 2 days without you knowing.
Leaking, yeah. So at this time I had no contractions. It was just leaking. So then I had to go into the emergency room and they had to break my waters and they had to put me on antibiotics because the window between waters leaking and giving birth was just now like too long. So I went on antibiotics, then they broke my waters. Then this was in the middle of the night.
Before you continue, just one stuff that traumatizes me for the rest of my life, seeing her giving birth. So I was literally in the hospital from day one, from the first was it the first hour?
First hour, no.
Yeah, like a couple of hours when she was admitted in the hospital till she actually gave birth. So that's something I wouldn't recommend anyone to do it. Because I remember back in Africa, like my family, my brothers and sisters, they had a lot of kids anyway, but they've never seen your wife they've never seen your wife giving birth because you're not allowed to get in. You're not even allowed to see a woman giving birth in the first place. But that was the opposite year in Europe, in Ireland. I was actually pushed into like a theater, so I was there till she gave birth. I was there throughout the whole thing, just seeing people like fisting out to check the baby. Like it was just I can't even explain on this video.
You were traumatized.
Yeah.
The baby came out of me, babe.
Yeah, but
you did see everything.
I saw like stuff coming out of you, like liquid, and everyone, even the student doctors, were literally just coming in and just like putting your hands inside her, like, oh yeah, I can feel the baby, yeah, she's okay. Oh yeah, I can feel the baby, no, she's not, she needs more oxygen. So there was just a lot of stuff happening, people just sticking your hands inside, and I was just like, okay. And I was there throughout the entire process, like literally the entire process. Yeah.
We both suffered in our own ways, haven't we?
Yeah. We did. I didn't suffer like you did now, but I kind of like mentally it wasn't easy. And by the way, before I know I caught her.
It ain't easy.
Yeah. She was meant to give birth normally, but that didn't go as planned. So she actually gave birth by C-section.
Babe, we haven't even gotten to that part yet. Yeah, we're jumping way ahead of the gun here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just where were you first?
So I just started when I just got admitted into the hospital.
Yeah. Keep going.
So they broke my waters. Then I started to have irregular contractions, which meant that I wasn't dilating properly. It would go back in and then come back out, and it's just, so that was already an issue. Then I took all the drugs that they possibly offered me, because the contractions, I didn't expect them to be that strong, that fast.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready. I was tired, and I knew that it was going to be a while before the birth. So I was like, okay, give me some drugs.
And what drugs did they give you?
The very first one was pethidine.
I don't know what that is.
Pethidine, it's good. It's just it's a needle. It's like one hit and then you're done. So it kind of, it takes the edge off the contractions. It kind of makes you feel like lightheaded and woozy. It'd be like, for people you know, like maybe like smoking some, you know,
Joints.
exactly, yeah. That, but just with like a stronger painkiller, like a joint mixed with like Solpadeine, like really strong Solpadeine.
Okay.
You know, it was just like a really strong painkiller. And that was good, because if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have slept at all. And I know that I needed to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I think about 5 o'clock that morning, I got moved to a labor room, because I was just kind of in kind of like a waiting area for a while. But then I went into a proper labor room. Then that's where they gave me the oxytocin to help induce me, and gas and air. And then when I think I got to about like 3 centimeters or something like that, then that's when you were allowed to be called in.
Oh.
Because this is during COVID times and COVID hours, so you're only allowed in when I pretty much went into actual proper labor.
Yeah, when I came to her room, normally she was meant to give birth in the next, let's say, like 5 to 10 hours. But that didn't happen. She was there for ages. So I had to stay there, and when I actually went back home and came back again the next day. So, because it didn't happen as planned, because she had like a birth plan, like she planned everything. But we didn't even check the birth plan when the time came.
Out the window. So from 5 o'clock, that's when Mike got there, and at that time I was on the gas and air, and my waters were still breaking. They were still coming out, they were still going. Then they moved me to another room, and then they gave me an epidural, because it was just becoming way too much, because hours have still passed and I wasn't dilating, and there just wasn't enough progress. And at this time as well, I was constantly getting sick. I couldn't keep any food or water down as well. So I was like, okay, I'll take the epidural. So they moved me to a separate room again, where they gave me the epidural, and I was on the epidural for what?
For 12 hours.
Like 12 hours,
yeah.
10, 12 hours, because they were still waiting for me to contract, which I didn't. And so then they were like, do you know what, Jess? Your baby's head is swelling. Do you remember what they said there? Yeah,
they said the baby head was swollen because there was lack of oxygen, so they needed to act fast. If not, there would have been no Phoenix.
She was swelling, and she was also turned, she was like stuck like a certain way.
Yeah. She wasn't vertical. This is vertical, isn't it?
She was around the right way, and she was vertical.
Yeah.
But let's just say her head was meant to be this way. Her head was like this way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it would have been hard to for her to come out.
Yeah. So after being on that for 12 hours, she was still hesitant. She didn't want anything. Like
still getting sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't want any C-section, like any C-section at all. So the doctors came, and they had to call like a consultant, like a big person or something. I don't know. Maybe it's one of the biggest doctors there that came in and checked, and she's like, okay, I know most people came in and they told you about this and you don't want to listen to them, but now this is what you have to do. We can't go any further. We just have to go through a cesarean section, like literally a C-section. Then me being the man, I had to ring her mom.
I swear, I literally at the beginning I was like, take this phone and just talk to everyone. I'm not talking to anyone right now. So he had to like drip feed information throughout the whole time.
So I was the communicator. So I was informing everyone what's happening, every single stage of it. I was just telling the mom, telling anyone that needed to know, because she has a group chat. They have a family group chat. So I was posting pictures and just like sending stuff there. She gave me a password.
Yeah. In between the micro naps you had to take, I swear, I would look over sometimes and he's just like falling asleep in the chair beside me.
Imagine sitting down for 12 hours. That's 12 hours doing nothing. Like I didn't even bring my headphones. I was just pretending to be on my phone. I was playing Candy Crush. Literally playing Candy Crush. There was no TV. Some hospitals actually have like television that you can even watch a movie, but this one had nothing at all. I was just sitting there like that. I was just there for like ages.
Maybe they were afraid to turn it on when he came in case they'd be like, "Why are you looking at the TV?" You know. I did. I got a little bit snappy. I wasn't,
Yeah, but
crazy woman.
You were calm compared to women, to what I've heard other women doing. Like she wasn't like that though. Compared to your friend, Kayla said she was like all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'd say without that epidural, I might have. We don't know. But the epidural was probably the best option I have. I mean, when going in, I didn't want an epidural. I didn't want drugs. All I wanted was gas and air. That was it. But I had to have the epidural because the labor was just too long. I was exhausted and it was just too painful, too quick, and constantly irregular. So I was like, okay,
go for it.
epidural.
Yeah.
So,
let's cut the story short. After all of this stuff now, the doctor made the decision for her to go through a C-section. And literally, when she said yeah, and her mom, all of her family were informed, and like some people started, even my mom back in Africa was praying like, yeah, she was like, she was praying for ages, because a lot of people know about this stuff. Like some women go through like C-section and never come out alive. So people just started praying, her mom, everyone. Then literally, I think less than an hour, I was in there like literally cutting through her, like doing all of this stuff. I kind of saw it a little bit, then I was like, lifting your lungs and stuff to take off the baby.
I was petrified because like being like the anesthetic wearing off on an operating table was one of my biggest fears. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God. Like, and I was so worried that I was going to feel something. That was like the biggest thing. But it was just, you feel some moving like this. And then I was just literally just looking at Mike the whole time, like probably like making indents in his hand, just like squeezing and just like looking at him, And then all of a sudden, Mike gets called over. And then another nurse talks to me. And then boom, Mike is back, and then there's another nurse going like, Jess, here's your baby.
Yeah.
Like just like that.
Yeah.
It was literally all this
quick.
waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in a matter of minutes, there's your baby right out in front of you.
I think that was the first time I cried in front of this woman.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen you cry.
Yeah, that was like Jesus, the emotions that you can't even explain. Before, people used to tell me that when you have like a baby, when you have a kid, it's different. You can't even tell someone how it feels like. I swear, when I literally carried Phoenix in my hand that day, I was shivering. I was like, like, then I just carried her, put it like on top of Jess's belly, like, and Jess was just like, my baby. She was just shivering. I cried as well. My baby. It was one of the best days of my life, literally.
Wreck ball of emotions. I was bawling, crying, and I was bawling, crying, so happy, and I didn't care what else is happening. But the moment you see her, everything is good. And as well, she came out perfectly healthy, no problems, a nice hefty baby. Was it 9'7"?
Yeah.
She came out 9 pounds 7 or 4.3 kilos.
4.3 kilos, and they were like, that's a big baby. Like, if you've been seeing our videos, you can see how she is nowadays. Like, she's growing healthy. That's all I can say.
With a full head of hair.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what all that reflux was coming from. It was from that full head of hair, and her hat didn't even fit her.
Yeah. I'm gonna post picture of when she was
born.
Yeah, I'm gonna post picture of when she was born. So literally, most of the stuff we got for 1-day-old baby didn't fit her.
Brand newborns, yeah.
Like the newborn baby, like most of the stuff couldn't fit. Her hat was just like sitting on top of her head because she had a lot of hair. Literally, she had full on hair. People actually thought it was a baby that was born maybe like a couple of weeks ago, but she was literally just coming out of her mom's belly, like. But hair, she had a load of hair and everything, and she was tall.
And baby.
The nurse and people that were in there, they looked at me, they're like, "You're not that tall." Then I'm like, Jessica, are you sure that's my baby?
So I guess I'm kind of tall. We're kind of like the same height, you know. And on a good day, I'm taller. On a bad day, he's taller.
We're kind of like, sometimes she's taller than me. I don't know how that's possible, but sometimes I'm taller than her.
Exactly.
So, and Phoenix is tall. Like literally, even now that she's 11 months, when we go out with her, most people or most kids of her age, she's taller than them. She's taller than all of them. Even a child as well, like 1 or 2 years, Phoenix is usually taller.
No, it's taller. But I was like that, and you were like that as a baby. And then afterwards in the hospital, I had to stay in hospital for a week afterwards because of the C-section, and I was a new mum. And you know, the baby blues, and she was having problems with feeding, and I was having problems with my milk supply, and I didn't want any bottles or formula. But then I think a couple of days before I left the hospital, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give her some formula because my supply just wasn't there. It just wasn't coming in, no matter how much I put her on me, no matter how much I pumped. It was just so, okay, you want to feed your child, you know, that's the most important thing. So I was like, okay, gave her the formula, and then all of the problems started to going away. She started to having her regular nappies, sleeping properly, you know, not crying as often, but that's it. She was just hungry, but
and surprisingly,
in the end,
surprisingly, before having a baby, this woman here had never changed a nappy. Never changed a nappy. So I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work now, but the first few days, I was the one changing it. Literally all the shit, I was the one taking care of that. But when I left the hospital, I suppose you were doing it as well. Like, because I was in the hospital just for a couple of hours.
I had to eventually change my own newborn baby's nappy because the nurses weren't going to do it for you. They're like, they help you and they assist you to do this stuff, but like they won't do anything for you, which is unnoticed. Or they'll mind you, let's just say you want to take a shower, or you're having really bad afterwards post contractions and stuff. And let's just say if you are exhausted and you need a couple of hours sleep and the baby just isn't giving in, just isn't sleeping, just isn't happy, then they'll take the baby for you. But you were only allowed into the hospital from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock.
But I was staying there up to like 10. One day I stayed to like midnight, and the nurses were just walking past, looking at me. I'm like, okay, I see what I mean. Because it was during COVID, like you weren't allowed to stay there for long because we were afraid. And even before coming in, I had to do a COVID test. And I had to like sign all this questionnaire about like not having any of the COVID symptoms and all of that. So it was a busy couple of months. Like from the time she was pregnant up to the time that she gave birth. So it was like
I think definitely I would do the labor 10 times fold, but staying in the hospital, being a brand new mom, absolutely exhausted with the constant contractions and your body changing so quickly, you know, because nobody tells you about how your body changes, and nobody really prepares you for those post contractions. But definitely I wasn't prepared for the post contractions, and for the constant like noise in the hospital as well. Like let's just say you're napping, so you try and go a nap. The woman next to you has her visitors in, and then there's all these like beeping and everything like that, and those people going in around the corridor. So it was just a constant noise, you know. And let's just say, and the baby beside us had jaundice, so he'd be up.
Jaundice? What's that?
Yeah, jaundice. It's like where they go all kind of like that yellowy color and stuff like that. And so that baby was up quite a lot, and the mother wasn't in the best position and stuff like that.
And since that day, I had like, I don't know, the respect I have for this woman since that day has been different. Like literally, I was just buying that in front of her, like, wow, Jessica. Yeah. She made me to become a dad. Imagine, what else can you ask someone? Like without her, I wouldn't have become a dad. And today I'm a dad. When I come back from work, you just see the way your daughter is just hugging you. Like she's like, you see when I'm even leaving, when I'm going to work, she's like, no, daddy, no. Like she keeps crying. So yeah, I will honestly say that's the best thing that have happened to me in the past 2 years, because she was born last year in 2021. I suppose, guys, we're actually going to do a part 2 of this video because it's going to be too long. Yeah, the second part is going to be what we wish we knew before becoming parents. So thanks Emilia for watching this one.
So much. So if you watch this and there's bits cut out, just know why.
Yeah. So thanks Emilia for watching, and like stay tuned for part 2. Peace.
Bye.